talking about?
Hello, friends. We are back for another rip-roaring episode of the BCM podcast with your host, Charles Blain, and the M, Michael Searle, ATX, and the B, Brad. And so we are back for another week of this great podcast. Please like, share, tell your friends, tell your family, comment, let us know what you think. Apparently, we had some clips go viral last week with Kanye West, according to Brad. So maybe you guys can make these clips go viral too. So thank you for sharing. We appreciate it. How are you guys doing? Okay, great.
I'm good. I'm trying to find this video and I can't find it.
That's fine. You probably don't need to find it.
I can't play it. I can't play it. I know that I can't play it, but like I want to see it now because Michael's talking about it. And it's like his favorite.
For those who don't know what he's talking about, consider yourself lucky. You don't want to know what he's talking about. I assume, because I haven't seen it either. And so
this is not good for the show.
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
I think we found it, but I'm not going to look at it right now.
We've got a lot to talk about this week. There's been a crazy news week, and it's only Wednesday, and there's plenty to discuss. I think at the start of the week, there was news, and then this Tuesday, there was news, and then Wednesday, there was news. It just never ends, right?
It's always going, especially with Trump at the helm. All right, guys? He's a real news-making machine.
Isn't he?
Sure is.
And this week, he is in the Middle East, taking a tour of the Middle East with our friends over there. And I think where we can start is one of the bigger stories that came out. Or I guess every story's been a big story this week, but one of the stories that came out this week was that Qatar decided to gift Trump now there's some confusion over whether it's gifting Trump or giving the United States, but nonetheless, gift a 747, a used one, from the royal family of Qatar to use allegedly as Air Force One. And there's initially there's a lot of outrage, and then some people were like, well, he could do what he wants. This is great. And then others there's just been back and forth all over. So what do you guys think about this, generally speaking?
Do we need to raise hands, or are you going to call on us? Do we just go?
You guys are big boys. You can pick who wants to go.
Oh, we're big boys. Thank you. That's all I ever wanted to hear, but my parents never said it to me. So I think that the plane from Qatar, there's a lot going on here because he's in his first term, he ordered, I think, 2 Boeings from Boeing to replace the, I think, 40-plus-year-old Air Force One. And Boeings have a real hard time doing that. And the Pentagon is skeptical that they can even do it. Maybe like at all, but definitely do it on time and under budget. And it doesn't look like Boeing can do that. That's kind of concerning that Boeing, one of our largest, manufacturers, not only airplanes, but, largest companies in the United States can't even produce some freaking airplanes, which is supposed to be their specialty. But as far as accepting from Qatar, it's a little strange, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things that if you hate Trump, you think this is like the worst thing that's ever happened, and if you love Trump, you think it's great. On a clear philosophical level, I get why you don't want gifts being given to presidents by foreign countries. Seems a bit shady. But on the other hand, a free plane instead of $1 billion Boeing, I'll take it.
I don't know. It's just it's interesting to me. I know that the initial thought is, well, there are obviously a lot of security concerns about this, right? Like, why would you take, even if it were from the UK, like there are security concerns. Now, they did say that they would be going to take this apart and then reassemble it to make sure that there was nothing in there, no listening devices, no different things like that. And that's interesting. But when I was reading that, they said that could take a number of years and would be truly unrealistic to actually pull it apart piece by piece to make sure that this was safe enough. Now, this plane is supposed to be like a palace in the sky. It's amazing. I mean, if you look at any of these Middle Eastern royal families and the way in which they travel, it's unbelievable. And so it would be a very nice plane, but it is just very, I don't know, interesting to say the least. There's some commentary about Pam Bondi being a former lobbyist for Qatar, and when people were questioning the DOJ as to whether or not this would be legal, she said it would be, and some argue that it's because she was previously paid by them.
I think the place where it gets into illegality is if he intends to keep it. That's all that I've heard. Gifts are given to the United States of America all the time. But if Trump wants to keep the plane, which I think they're kind of making a leap in his intention to assume that, that's where it gets a little tricky. Trump has said that he's going to donate it to his presidential library, foundation or whatever. How do you do that? That's going to be a big library. Or you sell it and use the proceeds to pay for the library. I don't know, but people are saying that he intends to keep it. I don't think they have any basis for that, but it is Trump.
Well, I think so. The security concern is the obvious one. I mean, it's a freaking $400 million airplane, and it's a complicated machine. And I think that they were talking about, like, if you think about it, like this, they could be taking it apart, sweeping it, trying to find bugs and everything like that. Like, is this nut supposed to be here? Is that bolt supposed to be here? Like, is that really what it is? It's not something simple like a pager from Israel. You know what I mean? And so you gotta, like, they really got to go into detail, and it's going to take forever to figure out. But even like Rand Paul, he's not happy about this, as well as Senator Schumer. Schumer's threatening to hold up all of his DOJ appointments in response to this. It's trying to subpoena Pam Bondi to come down to the Capitol and say, what she thinks about this. Schumer even said that this is so blatantly, obviously wrong that not even Vladimir Putin would accept this gift. He's not even that corrupt.
Well, is it corrupt? Like, what is the quid pro quo here? What is the exchange? What is Qatar getting? I think more than corrupt, it's just doesn't seem smart. Like, why? For what reason would a leader of a free world, particularly the most powerful nation in the world, take a plane from another country and then use that as their primary source of transportation? Like, why?
Well, here's Rand Paul on Qatar's offer to Trump for the palace in the sky.
And the Constitution in Article 2 talks about the president can't take emoluments or gifts from foreign leaders. And so there is a provision in the Constitution that says you can't do this. And so the question is, can you do it if it's only for official purposes? If it came to someone in Congress, they can vote and the ethics committee can look at it. With his, there will have to be some kind of adjudication. This has never been done, and it's not like a ride on the plane. We're talking about the entire $400 million plane. I think it's not worth the appearance of impropriety, whether it's improper or not. I don't think it's worth it. The other problem with Qatar is, I've spent time trying not to sell weapons to Qatar because they have human rights violations of their people. Many of their people are prevented from participating in the government, and some of the minority religious folks in Qatar are treated poorly. And so I really haven't been a big fan, and I wonder if our ability to judge their human rights record would be clouded by the fact of this large gift. So I wouldn't.
Well, first off, it's Qatar, not Qatar.
I mean, I think technically it is Qatar, but
you know what? Technically, we'll say it however we want to say it. And Rand Paul's kind of messing that up. Is it the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America? It's what we say it is, right?
I mean, I still say Gulf of Mexico.
No, shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, okay. So I think that's reasonable. I don't know. Like, if I'm not a big fan of, I don't really care about Qatar. All right. So there's human rights violations. That's not good. And should we not sell? I think Rand Paul is making some decent points there. Is this going to affect the business dealings with Qatar? It could. I mean, if someone gave me a $400 million airplane, I can guarantee you it's going to affect how I treat them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it probably will, but I mean, is it a country that we are? I mean, yeah, we're obviously deeply engaged with them, but to the point that it's going to change so much, like I don't know. But also, I found this other thing that says that converting a Qatari-owned 747 jet to new Air Force One for President Trump would involve installing multiple top secret systems, cost over $1 billion, and take years to complete. 3 aviation experts reported. They said that accepting the 13-year-old jet would cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars over time, noting that refurbishing the plane would exceed its current value of $400 million. Now, does that still, does that pale in comparison to just purchasing a whole new plane? Like, it probably still comes in cheaper, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah. That almost sounds like Boeing has some reporters on the payroll and they're writing pieces to try to dissuade people from doing this. I don't know, guys. I mean, Rand Paul is my favorite senator. I think that he was making a little bit of a stretch there. I wasn't particularly convinced. Is the U.S. going to sell weapons to Qatar? Yep. Are they going to sell the weapons to Qatar if we get a plane? Yep. I don't think it's going to influence whether or not the U.S., which is the biggest exporter of weapons in the world, is going to sell weapons to a country. I don't know. I think people are making a pretty big deal out of this issue that seems.
Speaking of weapons, this is at the LBJ Presidential Library here in Austin, Texas. The Saudi ceremonial sword that was gifted to President LBJ by His Majesty Faisal ibn Abd al-Aziz al-Saud, King of Saudi Arabia, on June 21st, 1966, during a state visit in Washington, D.C. Now,
I mean, a $400 million jet.
Huh?
Did that sword come in a bag of cash? LBJ is used to getting bags of cash.
So I'm pointing out that gifts have been given, like you said, Michael, and
but a $400 million jet versus a knife.
Oh, well, it's a ceremonial sword. I'm sure that Saudi Arabia is going to listen to this and they're going to be very upset that you called it a knife. They're going to go Crocodile Dundee on you.
A pocket knife.
And it's better than 50-50 that it was delivered with a bag of cash.
And also in today's news, though, as Trump is in Qatar visiting the Middle East and including a visit to Qatar, the state carrier Qatar Airways signed a deal on Wednesday to purchase 210 wide-body jets from Boeing. So they are buying 210 jets and giving us one of their old ones.
210 wide-body jets, huh? And those Saudis like it thick. Not the Qataris. Sorry, Qataris like it thick.
Well, yeah, know what country we're talking about here.
Well, like it thick over there.
So in other news, interestingly enough, I know you guys have had to seen this. It's been going. I mean, Jake Tapper's been on the media circuit very heavily these past couple of weeks, really, but it has significantly ramped up in the past couple of days as his book is gearing up to come out. His book titled Original Sin, which is co-authored by journalist Alex Thompson, and it looks into the way that President Biden's family and aides covered up his sickness towards the end or not sickness, but I guess just old age, whatever you want to call it, covered it up towards the end of his presidency to the point where they were speculating that he might need a wheelchair, but also at the same time saying that he had just had a cold, talking about different issues with his spine. Just straight up lying. And Jake Tapper has been getting a lot of pushback because there are numerous videos of him attacking and arguing with critics at the time who criticized the Biden and criticized people around him for hiding the illness and saying that he wasn't. And he says that the sources he had lied to him and he was misled. So what do you guys think?
Michael, go.
Spare me, Jake Tapper. Are you not able to discern truth from fiction? It shocks me how out of touch with reality these goons in the captured media are. Nobody's buying Tapper's excuse that the White House lied to him, and that's why he didn't report on it until after the election. All of America, including Jake Tapper, could see Biden's decline in real time on TV. You didn't report it because you wanted Biden to win, and now that you think you can make money off of a book, now you're telling this story. It's bullshit, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, it is. It's total bullshit. Of course, Jake Tapper knew about it. We all knew. I knew about it, and I'm just some goon on the internet, right? I can see it. Everyone knows it. What really gets me is the stutter thing, right? Like, oh, he just had a stutter, and that's why he's doing that. And I'm like, when I first read that, I was like, does he have a stutter? I never remember him having a stutter. He never had a stutter, and when he was vice president. And then you go back to old videos, he didn't have a stutter then. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about a stutter? And it's just, it's obvious and it's gross. And yeah, there's a whole montage put together that we could play some of Jake Tapper railing against Republicans, including the beautiful Laura Trump, for questioning it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, even if he wanted to cover, there was no need for the kind of angry attacks that you often saw. Like there was one interview I was watching yesterday where he was interviewing, I think it was a Democratic congressman who had spoken out about where Biden was cognitively. And he was just hammering him, being like, your colleagues dislike you. They said you're disloyal, this. And it's like, all right, it's very aggressive. He says he now looks back on that time with humility, though, and that he has kind of reassessed.
Are you talking about Dean Phillips?
Yeah.
Tapper says he looks back on that time with humility. I don't know if Dean Phillips is. Yes, this is the one. Yeah.
Question President Biden's age, mental fitness, ability to lead.
Dean Phillips needs to chew some gum every once in a while. Look at that chin. What's going on with that guy?
of those supporting Biden. You said, quote, "Shame on all of you pretending everything is okay. You're leading us and him into a disaster." Do you worry that you damaged him at all? I don't doubt that you got hugs and handshakes behind closed doors today, and maybe even publicly, some of them because they like you personally. But I've heard a lot of really nasty stuff about you from your Democratic colleagues. Sure. I mean, just like, what is he thinking? Exercise in narcissism. I mean, false claims to the.
What is this hugs and handshakes behind closed doors? What's going on over the DNC? Hanky panky is what's happening.
I question if Biden had won, would we see original sin? Would we hear this conversation today, or would we still be seeing the same media covering it up?
No, he'd be in a wheelchair, and they'd be comparing him to FDR, and like say that it's just like, you know, he blew up his legs in a Vietnam War accident or something. Like they just make it up out of whole cloth.
It was an unfortunate bicycle accident.
Yeah.
One of the funny excerpts I find in the book, or well, I didn't read the book yet, it's not out, but one of the excerpts from the book that is very interesting is going around. It's about George Clooney, who ran into at an event, and he said he was just absolutely, what did he say, shaken when Biden failed to recognize him at this fundraiser. And then an aide had to come and whisper to him and be like, "That's George Clooney." And he's like, "Oh, hey, George." And then there were a lot of people making fun of him, being like, "Well, you know, you think so highly of yourself that he didn't recognize you, and that was the moment." But like, in reality, like, yeah, like if George Clooney is like standing in front of the president, who you know very well, because like Biden's obviously in all these like Hollywood circles, and he doesn't recognize who George Clooney is, like, yeah, I think that is like a pretty like serious, significant moment in time, regardless of how highly George Clooney might think of himself. I think it's pretty damning.
I question whether you two would recognize George Clooney.
It depends. Like, it depends on the situation.
I don't think
I'd probably just look right over him.
Is he that short?
I think so. Compared to me, he is.
Well, I mean, compared to you, most people are. Stop it.
True.
I feel like
I went to the Capitol with Michael once, and he ran into someone at the Capitol as we were walking downstairs. And this is like an older gentleman who's not a tall person. And instead of coming down to meet the person eye level, Michael, 6'6", towered over him like 2 feet, looking down at the guy. I'm just like, wow, what a fucking power move.
You don't even understand the dynamics that were at play there, Brad.
Well, that's okay. It was a bold move, and I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying it was a bold move.
Halfway bad person.
Anyway, would we recognize it if I were at like a convenience store? Like, I have that problem where if I don't see you in a place where I associate you with that place, I'm probably not going to recognize you. So if I was at a movie premiere and I saw George Clooney, I'm like, "Oh, that's George Clooney." But if I was in like Target, I would not probably realize who he is.
I saw Tim Pool in Austin Target one time.
I wouldn't know who that was if I saw him.
With or without a beanie.
Oh, beanie for sure. I thought about. I mean, I know this is way off topic, but you reminded me because you said Target and he's out of place, and I recognized him. So maybe I would recognize George Clooney in Target. I don't know.
Guess we have to wait and find out.
We should play a game where you guys try to guess who the celebrity is just by the pictures.
That would be fun.
Well,
Okay.
We can do it one day.
Okay, that's I think we talked that one to death. What legislature is still in session? I think tomorrow at midnight is their deadline for hearing out bills in the House. Or in committee, is it? Committee.
House bills.
House bills, yeah. So, want to know what you guys consider the biggest legislative victories and or losses are of this week. This week. I mean, if you can't think of one this week, sure, you can kind of just expand that timeline a little bit. But what do you guys think have been some big losses or wins this week?
Woo. Losses or wins. I mean, there's gonna be about 1,000 bills that go down tomorrow at midnight, as you pointed out. But the thing is that every one of these bills, especially the major ones, like let's say taxpayer-funded lobbying, it has a Senate companion, so their deadline's a little bit later. I was trying to think of bills that are just House bills that don't have a Senate companion. I couldn't find any. So I would say a lot of bills are going to go down tomorrow night, but there's still hope for them because they have their Senate companions, which have a little bit more time. But on that list of bills that didn't get out of the House, or the House version didn't, taxpayer funded lobbying, union dues, Project Connect. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff.
But
That's-
with Project Connect specifically, because it has a Senate companion, the likelihood is that it will, right? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we'll say that a lot of things are falling victim to process. The House yesterday had a 30-page agenda, which was already backed up a couple days, and they're not going to have time to get through everything. And so, I mean, even Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is in that pile of agenda items that they need to get to, but it passed out of the Senate. Taxpayer funded lobbying is different. It hasn't got a hearing in the House committee, so it's effectively dead. It could theoretically not be dead, but it is dead because Chairman King is not going to bring it up for a hearing. Same with union dues.
Brad?
Well, I'm kind of liking Brian Harrison a little bit on X nowadays. I mean, I wasn't really familiar with him, but he's calling it out. And speaking of long, calendars, long lists, Michael, just a couple days ago, he tweeted out the Texas House leadership stops Republican priorities like ending property taxes by running out the clock, prioritizing Democrat bills, creating confusion by putting over 400 bills on a single day, and then just telling members how to vote. He calls that corrupt, which, I don't know. Is that corrupt? I feel like that's what Austin City Council does. I'm sure the Houston City Council does that. He talks about, he has this other little video here talking about creating another government commission instead of doing things like ending property taxes, which I think is what the GOP talks about doing a lot.
Very much appreciate the intent of the bill author here. And he's trying to do a good thing. And I support marriage and I support family as much as just about anybody. What I don't support, however, are new government commissions, which is what this bill creates. And in fact, when I was the chief of staff at HHS under President Trump during his first term, I was very proud to have worked with him in the White House to create an executive order that slashed countless advisory commissions and councils. So this is going the wrong way, and I will respectfully be opposing this. The body needs to stop growing government. Thank you.
I think he was also the lone no vote on eliminating the STAR test.
Yes, he was.
And which is interesting. And the argument there is that I think he said 25% of all 8th graders in the state of Texas are only are proficient in math and reading, and this risks removing accountability. And it also costs more. I think removing the STAR test saves the state $81 million thereabouts, but the new test, which is 3 tests now, is going to cost $200 million. And, it seems like he's about sticking to his guns. Like, let's not grow government, which I think is cool. Is Brian Harrison? He's good. He seems like a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Why are you smirking?
Who, me?
Well, I mean, if we're going to be candid here on the show, I mean, Brian Harrison is also, in addition to trying to be principled, he's trying to get clicks and likes and retweets on social media. And sometimes that can cloud your judgment. I think the one vote against removing the STAR test has been in place when all of Texas, 25% of Texas students aren't up to math proficiency and reading proficiency. So to argue that it should stay in place because students aren't up to where they should be seems like a really bad argument.
Well,
and I think he's trying to be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian in some cases.
Well, I think to be fair, he's not saying that the STAR test should stay necessarily, like it's good and it's doing a great job. I think he's saying that removing this test and replacing with something else risks the accountability. And
accountability?
Well, I mean, we just had
accountability that exists currently, or
we just had the TEA come out with all the different scores for schools and districts, and there's a whole bunch of Fs. A bunch of schools got Fs, and school districts around Texas are flipping their lid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's accountability in the sense that, like, the state is threatening to take over schools and school districts. There's no accountability in the fact that, well, the education system sucks because it's a shitty system.
Yeah, I mean, he's a consistent vote for less government, and I really appreciate that and love people who do that. I just think at some points he's pushing for virality, and that clouds his judgment sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I know, and we've seen it tick off other members of the Texas legislature. So I think there's something to both things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, it's, you know, you got, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't really have much of an opinion on this specific. This was your call, like your choice. I don't have much of, yeah, I can't even speak. I don't have much of an opinion on this specific subtopic of this topic, but I agree with the overall point that, like, you have some people who go there to kind of like go for the virality, get like the clicks and the retweets, and kind of build that up. And I think he does that very well. I mean, you go look at every single tweet he has; it's like 500 retweets. But yeah, like like what? Then at the end of the day, like what's to show for it? Like what can you point to that's like, okay, this got me this, or this moved the ball forward on this, and I don't know what that answer is.
Who's the most viral in the Texas House?
Him, I would say.
And I'm not talking about viral load. I'm talking about their personal lives. I'm talking about online.
I would
Whoever
say
got the most boosters has the greatest viral
You think it's
load.
him? You don't think it's is it Jasmine Crockett? Who's the one that was
he's down in the Texas House.
Who's the one though that we stopped by that we talked about, Michael? I think it's a black lady. And there
Katrina Pearson?
There we go.
Katrina Pearson?
I don't think she goes viral.
She's got almost 1 million followers on Twitter, I think.
If you have 1 million followers and you don't go viral, then you got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, but she's been famous for a long time. Like, I feel like that's just, you know,
she would be more famous if she came on our show.
Well,
we should have her on the show. You know what's interesting about what Brian Harrison is doing, though, that I think is important is he's shedding a light on a system that is, well, let me back up. The system is designed for bills to die. And he's shedding a light on that, which I think as a small government conservative, that would be something you like. But the irony and the problem here is some bills are prioritized to pass and others aren't. And what he's suggesting is some of the Democrat bills are getting priority to pass to get through the process over some other conservative ones, which union dues isn't getting prioritized, but some Democrat bill is, why? Well, horse trading, things that are happening within the legislature to get other things done. And it's like, it's kind of a mishmash of politics and policy. So I think it's important to bring a light to that, which he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in his way.
I agree with that. Wait, so what was your, we talked about Brian Harrison, but what was your like victory or loss for the week?
It's a loss for all Texans when the House doesn't focus on the GOP priority of reducing or eliminating property taxes. You know what I mean, brother?
I guess. Mine, I would say, is the two things. Frustrated to see why. I think it made a resurgence. I don't know if it's going to come back, but the squatters bill died, I think, in committee. And then I think they brought back either another version or a substitute. So I don't know what the fate of that one has been. So who knows? The anti-squatters bill. And then SJR 5, which is the bail reform bill, which isn't perfect. But I think, given a lot of the issues we have here in Harris County, could be, bail reform resolution to go on the March ballot, could be promising. And so I'm kind of glad to see some movement there. Hopefully, but at the end of the day, I also feel like we're in this pendulum swing again, where here we are at the far end of that pendulum, and then see what happens. But, there does need to be something that happens because it's been a mess here.
Ain't that the truth?
All right. So this one I'm going to let, I think this was Brad's topic, or maybe it was Michael's topic. I don't know. But Trump hates nation building.
Whoa, stop it. Who's the host today?
Me? What do you mean?
Nah, you.
I don't understand.
All right. You want me to host? I'll host. I'll do it.
I didn't tell you to host. I was about to read and then you cut me off.
I'm sorry.
So there's a tweet that says, I've been arguing for close to a decade that the single biggest reason for growing divide between the West and the rest. Oh, I like that. The West and the rest. Was the West's inability to accept diversity. Okay. Incredible. I don't know what this is about. You're talking about.
Oh my God, Charles.
He hasn't explained it in the tweets.
I don't know who Arnaud Bertrand is. Okay. If he's some sort of like, Kanye West fan, don't blame me. All right. I'm not saying I know this guy. I'm not endorsing everything he says or does. I rarely praise Trump, but this is genuinely incredibly speech. Incredible and kind of disturbing that Trump is the first Western leader who seems to understand this and to criticize the West's missionary zeal to remake others in his image. And then he, posts quite a bit of the speech, which we can listen to a little bit if you'd like.
Transformations have been unbelievably remarkable. Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
Come on.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spend trillions and trillions.
So that's the part that I think he's talking about, is that point about, you guys built this stuff. You guys need to solve your own affairs. It's not up to us. We don't need to come in and swoop and give you democracy or, solve your fly in on $400 million Qatari jets and, lecture you about global warming and climate change and how oil is bad, or, the Houthis or the, this sect is whatever, right? It's just like, hey, you guys need to take care of it. Let's do business. And I think that's the general point that people are sticking to, that this is a new direction for American, I should say not intervention, but non-intervention.
Didn't we talk last week about rebuilding Gaza and like the image of Trump?
Well, that's a different story, Charles.
Okay.
That's going to be a paradise on the Mediterranean, and I can't wait to visit.
Well, how is that any different than? I mean, how is that not nation building?
Well, because it's not a nation; it's a resort. Okay.
Oh, great.
I mean, that was weeks ago, and is Trump serious about that? I don't know, but I think he's talking in more general terms. Does that mean that he's not going to build a world-class water slide in Gaza? I would stop him from doing that. Of course,
we were talking
water slide.
We were talking last week about leaked plans for America to take over Gaza, but Gaza aside, because it is an exception for reasons that people can speculate about. But I think with all things Trump, I think on this, his instincts on intervention and nation building have always been good and in line with what most Americans think. Like, we should probably stay out of it and let people figure it out for themselves. He showed that in this speech in Riyadh. But the question is one of implementation and whether his instincts will prevail against the special interests and ideologues in the national security apparatus in Washington. That's the real question. He has the right instincts, but can he prevail? I think at the end of his term, it'll be a mixed bag.
Well, and maybe Brad can pull up the picture of Marco Rubio, please, about him just looking disheveled during this speech. And so he might be of that nature of what you're talking about, the people surrounding him who disagree with that. But I don't know. I mean, is Gaza an exception? Like, what then how? Because like Bush's people made exceptions for different things too. Like, you can always make an exception for what country we should rebuild or what country we should intervene in. And so if his if his doctrine, if you will, is going to be no nation building, then shouldn't it be no nation building?
What?
Well, Gaza's not a nation. No, but yes, he should stick to his he should stick to his guns on all of these conflicts, including Gaza.
I almost don't believe that's Marco Rubio.
No, that image has been going around.
That looks like that Bill Clinton video from the 90s where he's getting makeup put on him. Have you seen? Brad's probably seen this video, and he just looks out of it, just like that.
Well, it's funny. Marco Rubio has been kind of the only one in this administration who stayed out of the news, and the Secretary of State. That's interesting. I mean, it's I think people were kind of cautious when he was selected, but has he been doing a good job? I don't know. I guess time will tell. But he certainly doesn't look like he was too happy during that speech.
He also didn't look like he's too happy when Zelensky came to the Oval Office.
He did not look like that. He did not look happy.
He looked really unhappy. This guy is just living hell.
Brad, did you have any thoughts on the matter, or did you give everything? Did you say everything you wanted to say?
Thoughts on what matter?
I mean, the whole
On his speech?
Yeah. Anything else regarding the nation?
I look how angry he is. I mean, I think Michael is probably right that he's always had great instincts, and it's going to be like, what do we do here? Like, how does it actually end up? There's going to be special interest, but stuff like normalizing relations with Syria by removing sanctions, I think is because has a new government, and he's talking about wanting to give them a chance to like show the world what they got. And it's kind of in the message, there's this underlying tone of, we're going to give you a chance. We're going to give you a shot. If you fuck up, like we're going to reinstate those sanctions. There's going to be consequences, but we want to encourage you. We want to show you that we're here to do business so long as you're here to do business. But if you want to go bomb places and do, bullshit and, kill a bunch of civilians, like we're not going to stand up for that. Right. We're not going to stand for that. And I think that's something that Trump has always been really good at, is like giving people chances. Like, hey, look, we're here to do business. I want what's good for America. And if you got what's good for America, I want to do business with you. Right? I don't want to do sanctions. I don't want to do all that. I want some diplomacy. I want some economic exchange.
As George Carlin said, don't go bombing other countries. That's our job.
That's right. That's our job.
As TLC said, don't go chasing waterfalls.
TLC. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Lisa.
Drip.
Speaking of Syria, where in the hell is Bashar al-Assad? I mean, where is he? Is he in Russia? Is that where he went?
Where in the world is
All right, we're skipping to the next one.
He's probably in Qatar.
On one of these planes. The next one is we're going to talk about the Episcopal Church and the white refugees, which is interesting because the Episcopal Church has announced it will end its decades-old partnership with the government to resettle refugees, citing more opposition to the resettling of white Afrikaners from South Africa. This has been a very interesting thing over the past couple of days. I've been loosely following it, but not closely at all because I don't really care what goes on outside of America. Michael, what are your thoughts on this?
Me first.
Whose topic was this? Who wants to talk first?
I don't think that Michael added anything to the list. I'm the only one that added anything to the list.
Well,
you had
correct.
What are my thoughts? I think this is a real mask-off moment for refugees. Refugees are great so long as they're not white. Like the government, like they're gonna you roll your eyes, but how else do you read this? I mean, these refugees from South Africa, the Afrikaners, they're white. They come from South. There is genuine crisis that they're fleeing. Their state is, oppressing them. It's only 50 of them, and the Episcopal Church. Oh, I found a good video. Here it is. I can play this, and you're gonna that little smirk, that little look that you gave me, Charles. You're gonna eat it, bud. You're gonna eat it.
Okay.
Here is.
We can't be ourselves in the Episcopal Church and take the step of resettling white Afrikaners from South Africa. Our church has a long commitment to racial justice and reconciliation, and we have historic ties with the Anglican Church of South Africa. Desmond Tutu is a part of been a partner in this work for us. So we're just not able to take this step. It's not in line with anything that we're about. And
I mean, listen, without having additional context or listening to that whole thing.
That's Episcopal Church Bishop Sean Rowe. It's against what we stand for to help white refugees fleeing South Africa because they're committed to racial justice. Racial justice means that you're not going to help white people. You're going to help brown people, brown and black people.
I think given that it's South Africa, there is a different context to when you're talking about the black versus white. Like, I don't know this man. So I would be curious to know if they were talking about white refugees who are being pushed out of, I don't know, Guatemala or something, if he would feel the same as opposed to specifically South Africa, given South Africa's history. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer for that question, but.
What about South Africa's history makes it to where the Episcopal Church can't help these white Afrikaners?
I didn't say they can't, and I didn't say they shouldn't. I'm just saying maybe that's the position he's taking. I'm just talking about him wanting to engage in the racial politics of South Africa.
Sounds like you're pretty apologetic.
I'm not Episcopalian, so.
I'm going to take, as I often do, going to take a different tact and applaud them.
Applaud who?
Brad, the Episcopal Church.
Okay.
You want to hear me why?
Are you
Hear why?
Episcopalian?
Sure.
No.
Michael? Okay.
The enticement and capturing effect of federal grant money is significant, and they decided whether or not I agree with them to turn down the federal funds so they can pursue what they think is best. That's not something many groups do. Our system has a built-in reliance on the government that forces these groups to conform in order to survive. And I think less government-funded programs better.
Yeah,
No?
but this is not going to reduce the government funds or government programming, and they're going to
Right.
still seek out grants to help, quote unquote, refugees from Central and South America.
But you don't think that it's a positive step?
They're not Argentinians of German ancestry.
I mean, I'm kind of with Charles on this. I don't understand the racial context of South Africa, and there was apartheid, and like, what does that have to do with this? I mean,
Right, that's what I'm
so,
saying. Like, I feel like when you have to factor that part of it in too.
But even if that part is factored in, should these refugees suffer because of what some government in South Africa did that happened to be the same color of skin as them? Like, it's just it's messy. But the Episcopal Church not relying on federal government for money,
They're
that seems like a positive step.
It's not a positive step because they're still going to rely on it. They're still going to seek grant money. They're just not going to do it for this. And the reason they're doing it is because these are white people. And whatever. I mean, like, the Episcopal Church can do whatever they want, but it's a mask off moment, and that everyone is up in arms because there's these white refugees, and no one said anything about the quote unquote refugees that flooded the border. Like, I mean, people did on the right, on the left, they didn't. In the media, they didn't. The Episcopal Church never said anything about those people. In fact, they probably helped them quite a bit.
And no, they're not going to still seek these grants. And also in that statement, he said, apparently, we are seeking to wind down all federally funded services by the end of the federal fiscal year in September anyway. So
I'll believe it when I see it.
So that was my take. But yeah, you're either in the refugee business or you're not, and they're making a choice to not be in the refugee business because they have to help white people. So now they don't have any government money.
There we go.
Brad, let them come to your house.
Who, Afrikaners?
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably find one or two that might not be so bad.
Anybody else have anything else on this topic? Nothing.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't think so.
Brad's mad.
I'm not mad at all. I'm not in the least.
Don't worry. If you were a refugee, one of us would resettle you. Probably Michael. I mean, I'd think.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
He's white.
You wouldn't resettle?
You.
Oh, you wouldn't resettle me.
Sorry, it
Yes,
doesn't look
you're
like you're going to Dripping Rock anytime soon. So next up, we've got Derek Chauvin. So Minneapolis and state leaders are preparing for a possible Derek Chauvin pardon. Governor Tim Walz, the Minnesota National Guard, Governor Tim Walz, as you guys know, former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, Mayor Jacob Fry, the guy who was doing the marching during all of this, Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt, have all been briefed on preparations for possible civil unrest if President Trump pardons former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for his federal conviction of killing George Floyd. So what do you guys think about that?
Michael?
About both.
Okay. I'm not taking this seriously at all at this point. I'd be shocked if Trump pardoned Derek Chauvin. This seems more like pearl clutching by a journalist with Trump derangement syndrome than an actual serious report. That's where I'm at. Why? Because Ben Shapiro's asking for it? Is Trump going to do it? Why? And I happen to have some insider knowledge about how the pardons feels about Derek Chauvin too. And he wouldn't reach the top of her list. We'll just say.
Okay.
I don't think this is serious.
I mean, I didn't even know that this was. I mean, I think I remembered Ben Shapiro talking about it like, I don't know, a month ago or something like that, and I haven't heard anything about it since. It's a little surprising. I read it and I was like, this has got to be like a fake story. This is probably some just like random clickbait, but it's a legitimate news source. What is it? Some sort of local news station talking about this. But why wouldn't, if Derek Chauvin was wrongfully convicted, why wouldn't he be pardoned?
Is there reason to believe he was wrongfully convicted?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Can we come back to that? But I just want to comment on Brad's. This is a legitimate news story. How does that briefing become part of the news? It means that somebody involved in organizing that briefing either invited the journalist to the briefing or gave it to them in after the briefing. So they wanted the news to report that they were getting a briefing on what will happen if Derek Chauvin is pardoned by Trump.
So you're saying that they're trying to maybe elicit a little bit of unrest.
Correct.
Uh-oh.
Now
Man,
you
Tim
can talk
Walz.
about whether Derek Chauvin or not was guilty or not.
Well, I don't know if he was guilty or not.
Well, you said you think that there's reason to believe that he was wrongfully convicted, so do tell.
Yeah, I think if you look at the coroner's report about overdose, and you look at the videos of him saying he can't breathe before he's while he's just in the car, like normal, just hanging around, obviously in a stressful situation. And the coroner's report about how much drugs he had in his system, and pointing to an overdose death rather than a knee to the neck death. I think there's reason to believe that he maybe didn't do it. I don't know. Or maybe he's not guilty of what he was charged with, I should say.
Okay.
How would you have voted if you were on the jury?
I wasn't there, man. I need all the facts. I need to really
Weak
feel.
sauce.
I need to feel the energy in the room when people are speaking. You know what I mean? So how would I have voted? I don't know.
The Community Safety Commissioner Todrick Barnett said that we've heard the same rumors as everyone else, but the bottom line is Derek Chauvin would remain behind bars serving his state sentence, even if his federal charges are pardoned. To be clear, we have no credible intelligence about any pardon or planned disruptions here in Minneapolis. Since 2020, we've overhauled our emergency management system. So they're running with this story. I don't know where it started. I'm guessing just kind of in the ethos. And now they're planning it. And it almost seems as though they want there to be unrest. They want there to be people protesting, even if there's nothing happening.
That's what I read. Hey, newsflash. Derek Chauvin pled guilty to the federal crimes. He didn't go to a jury trial. He pled.
So I wouldn't even have an opportunity to vote, Charles.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he can't be pardoned, but he pled guilty to whatever crimes he's been convicted of. And we know what happens in these cases, Charles. They offer you, take 22 years, or you can go to trial and you can spend the rest of your life in jail. And so he had to choose between the two, but clearly the evidence, or his legal team thought the evidence was significant enough that he should consider taking the plea deal.
On that note, I'm curious. It's a philosophical question. In that situation, what do you guys do? It doesn't have to be this specific situation, but we know this happens all the time where someone, okay, maybe not all the time, but it happens a lot where someone is innocent but there is evidence that could lead to a conviction, a significant conviction with a significant sentence, and they are offered either a guilty plea for, a fraction of the time, or fight for their innocence in this trial and face life in prison or something like that. What do you guys do?
Oh, what do you do?
Michael, let's just say that you just got caught with your knee on the neck of a black man. And the whole country, and the whole country goes wild, and everyone knows you and everyone hates you. Do you take the plea deal or do you go to a jury trial?
Where am I being tried? Am I being tried in Podunk, Iowa? Is this happening in Iowa or does this happen in DC? I mean, lots of factors here. I thought you were asking about.
No,
I don't know.
I'm making it. Charles is just saying the general idea of do you take the plea deal or not, and it's not a specific case. Not that you got caught with your knee on Charles's neck. Just a general whatever you got caught doing. You're being accused of doing something.
I imagine
there's details that are missing here, but that's fine.
I imagine if I was innocent, I would not take the deal.
Well, I think it's fair. I think it's good. I would
try your shot at trial.
I would think so.
I would like to say the same thing, but it's really hard to say. I mean, you got kids, right? If I'm innocent, I would probably there's a good chance that I may never see my kids again if I go to a jury trial because, whatever, I know I'm innocent, but the evidence is stacked against me. Or do I take the plea deal and maybe I see him in 20 years? with a chance of parole halfway down the line or something. That's it. What would you do, Charles?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, one, I think it would be dependent on the type of charge. So, like, if it's something crazy, like any sort of like sexual violence or anything like that, like, no, I'm not gonna like plead guilty to that. I'm gonna go like fight this. Like, I'm not a deviant. But if it's something where it's like not related to something crazy like that, I don't know. I'm conflicted. I don't know. Like, it's the same question. It's like, do you want to get 10 years or do you want to possibly get 50? Like, I would like to say I would fight for my innocence and die fighting for my innocence, but when you know that the likelihood or the chances that you will never get out and see the light of day again, 10 years might not sound too bad.
I mean, all of this just tells me we need to get rid of the trial penalty. We need to regulate the heck out of what prosecutors can offer versus what the maximum sentence can be, because this is a bullshit rule that undermines people's Sixth Amendment rights to a jury by their peers, and it's only intended to, is that the Sixth Amendment? And it's only intended to drive up prosecution rates so that a prosecutor who's applying for a job can say, I have a 99% conviction rate. And that's the only purpose it serves. Alice Johnson, speaking of, was offered 3 years.
Wow.
And she got life.
Wow.
So a prosecutor's saying, if you just agree that you did the crimes, you're not a threat to society after you serve 3 years.
Yeah.
But since you defied us, the state, and didn't take the deal and put our precious prosecution numbers at risk, we're going to give you life.
That's crazy. 3 years. How do you get offered 3 years and then like get told that, like, that's nuts.
You're a mom of 5 kids and your husband's left.
Maybe there should be some sort of like correlation between the plea deal and like what you stand to get. Like if you're offered 3 years, then the maximum that you could get should only be 6 or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think it also depends on your age, right? Like if you're 16 facing life in prison or offering 10 years, like, I don't like if you're the Central Park, what is it, 6? Central Park
5.
Yeah, like that's a I don't know. What do you do in that situation? Like if I'm 80, it's a different story. But if I'm like 16, 17, I mean, there's just too many variables.
Too many variables. That's right.
Well,
How many times have you listened to the new Kanye?
0. Actually, I listened to it once yesterday. I tried to.
Did you like no. Okay, not the lyrics.
No, I didn't like
just the beats.
No, I didn't. I mean, it was a fine beat, but it was not one of Kanye's best. Like the way people, it's very interesting to see like right-wing Twitter like loving this. Like this is the greatest song ever. I can't believe they're censoring this. Like they're doing this so he could build like a non-censorable song rating system. Like it's not that. I mean, it's good, it's fine, but it's not great by any means.
I mean, if anybody's saying they don't know why it's being censored, they're fucking liars. They know why it's being censored. Not that it should or should not, but
it's an okay song. Not Kanye's best, but it is what it is.
It's an okay song. Well, we got a knock on TikTok for one of our videos we were talking about. I think I played it, maybe because it says HH, and I think I said that. I wasn't declaring it. I was just saying the lyrics. I think we got a little knock on TikTok.
Well, let's never say those lyrics again.
But YouTube
reflex.
Yeah, it was just a reflex. YouTube let us do it. I don't understand.
There's a lot of crazy stuff on YouTube. All right. Well, this is a rip-roaring show. I think we covered a wide array of topics. I think we've covered some interesting stuff. We might be talking about, I was going to try to fit aliens in because there was some interesting alien news. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I didn't get a chance to fit that in.
What is the alien news? Just
I don't have the news. Like it was a very detailed thing. I don't have it all. But anyway, any parting words before we go?
I love you.
Michael?
That should do it.
By the time we come back next week, the House will be, still in session, but we'll be hearing no more House bills, so we should have an update on that. Who knows? We'll see what we're talking about. It won't be my week to host, so I won't be deciding. But let us know who's host or who is the best host and why it is me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day and have a